Good morning. So today I am trying something different. I don't usually do long format videos, but I figured why not? Let's try this because I get a lot of the same questions between markets and events, and this is a pretty all right way, I think, to answer those questions. So here we go. So don't mind the cord, my iPad is plugged in because I can never seem to keep any of my electronics charged. I just leave them places and then come back and go, oh wow, it's dead. So we are stuck to the wall right now, but that's fine. One of the questions I get asked most often at markets is like, oh, do you draw this? And yes, I do, but today's topic is not how do I draw? It is how do I take something like this that I make as a print or card and make it into a keychain or pin. Really quick backstory on this chicken. So this chicken's based after a chicken we used to own when we lived in Maine. Her name was Poopy Butt, named by my child who was 3 at the time. And when I wanted a reference photo for a chicken, I of course used the picture of Poopy Butt. I mean, what else would I use? And what better way to immortalize the chicken with the fabulous name than to give her teal cowgirl boots with strawberries. Okay, so the first thing to understand is that, wow, there's so much light coming from behind me. Let's just gonna say that, sorry. First thing to understand is that shading's obviously not gonna happen with a keychain and pin. Like, we want this to be a tangible item that somebody can walk off with, immediately put on their bag, see themselves in, love. And to do that, we need to simplify the design. So, come on over. Let's look at the iPad. The first thing that I did was make her solid. So took away all the shading and said, okay, what color is the most prominent? And let's separate them into sections. Once that was done, I went through and then re-added all of my little details in a way that would be able to be seen on a keychain or a pin. So it's definitely not as detailed as the original piece of artwork. And I worked on identifying what colors were most prominent in this design. So the first thing we're doing is going through and identifying where's going to be gold versus colored, and everything obviously needs to have its area because this is enamel. And then the design on the boots ended up being UV added. So each color we matched with a Pantone C color and then added to it, and it was then created and sent back. Today though, I put together my design packs a little bit differently, so I'll give you a look at those. So here's an example of a keychain that I just ordered recently. It's a Texas themed one with blue bonnets and a white-tailed rabbit. And I identified my Pantone seed colors. And basically how I did that was I drew what I wanted, sketched it, did my outline, and then think of it like a coloring book. Just go back and color it in. But I use Procreate. And so if anything, this is probably the most important thing that I'm leaving you with. I use Procreate, which is a pixel-based art software app. I don't know what you want to call it, but that's why things look like jaggedy. So when I get ready to send these to my manufacturer, I don't send them pixel-based because it's going to look crazy and they're not going to be able to scale things or identify where the enamel starts and ends. So let me show you the next step. Awesome. Holding a book, hanging upside down with some flowers, obviously. I saw a possum walking through the neighborhood over from mine, and then I was like, I gotta do something with a possum. Also, who was Snow White who has a possum that's just like walking to their house? But that's a question for a different day. So anyway, so I have my possum, but now I want to be able to send it to my manufacturer in a way that is going to make sense to them, and they will be able to take the document I send with all the colors and sizing and whatnot and create my keychain. So first thing I do is when I'm drawing, I draw in layers. If you're not drawing in layers, I would highly recommend you do that. For keychains, I generally use about 3 once I have the design. So like my first layer that I end up deleting is my sketch layer. Then I go back and do my gold, which is all of my outline work. So that's going to be the metal. And then I do my colored enamel, and if there's a background, that'll be its own layer. So for example, with this guy, his blue is one layer, the gold outlines are one layer, and then all the other colors are their own layer. So then how do I get this from Procreate as pixel art to Illustrator as a vector, as something that they can resize without it getting all cattywampus? This is how I do it. 1, 2. Okay, so you have your 3 layers. I'm just gonna reorder them real quick so that way they are layered like the sandwich is supposed to be. And then I'm gonna come over here to my image trace, which if you don't have this open, it's in window image trace. That's how you get this to open up. Change it from black and white to color and hit transparency, or else the gold layer will all fill in with white. Then hit trace. That's going to do its thing. And then now we can select all of these because we need to make them a little bit smaller to fit on this artboard. And then the simplest thing to do is just realign everybody the way they need to be, which looks about there. And then it is good to be sent off. And the benefit of this is that I could take this and now resize it to virtually anything, and it's not going to get all weirdly pixelated because it is a vector item instead of a pixel. So that is the very quick and probably terrible overview of how I do this. Have an awesome day.